There is a lot happening in Kenya right now. So much. And I am just talking politics, only politics. Because if we include what is happening outside politics, we will all just go dizzy. I mean, we have those tremors which have rocked many counties in Nairobi. And people are scared. They are wondering what next. And there are those of you who have told me to leave God out of this channel. Not knowing my history, not knowing how this channel started. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But the good news is there are many other channels on YouTube. Many other channels which leave out God. I would highly recommend them. Because here on this channel, and as far as I'm concerned, I am zero without God. And so, leave out God in this channel, then there's also no Chris Kumekucha. But as I've said, there are many other channels. Anyway, let's stick to the politics for this particular video. Now, there seems to be a very spirited and serious effort to impeach the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And maybe I should share with you what a very seasoned, veteran political analyst told me in private. He said this impeachment will go ahead. He sees the process going forward. However, it will go absolutely nowhere, according to him. He says it's a very good opportunity for MPs to make money. From where? From both sides of the political divide. Those supporting the impeachment and those opposing it. And meanwhile, attention will be taken away from where it should be. And that is on the crumbling economy of the country. That's according to that analyst. Many years experience. Well, I don't agree with that analyst. I don't. But I've quoted him because I believe his views are the views of the vast majority of Kenyans. For starters, the whole process of getting an impeachment against the Deputy President going is huge. There are way too many variables at play here. For instance, how will the Rift Valley react? And then again, there's a possibility that there'll be a counter effort, a counter impeachment of the President of the Republic of Kenya in response. Being a bit familiar with the people who handle the President, that is the last thing they want to see happening. Not the actual impeachment, but even the starting of such a process. And so in my view, the analysis should not start with whether the impeachment will go through or not of the Deputy President. It should start by analyzing whether it will go ahead or not. And what needs to be taken care of for it to go ahead. In my view, that is where such an analysis should start. And so, let's start from there. And maybe try and do this as quickly as possible. In my view, this is exactly what a guy called David Murathe was talking about when he said, in reference to the Deputy President, we are coming, and they know it. In my view, this is something that has been planned for a very long time. Indeed, this was planned even before the 2017 general elections. However, there's emerging evidence that those who are planning it greatly underestimated the Deputy President's reach and influence, especially within Parliament. And so, before this impeachment of the Deputy President goes ahead, a few files have to be waived. For the sake of those who are new to this channel, let me explain what waiving of files is. This is where the government compiles a file of your sins, and things you did that broke the law. And then the victim is told, actually given two choices. Either they play ball and the file goes back into the filing cabinet somewhere at our intelligence services office, or they refuse to play ball and the file lands on the desk of the public prosecutor. Now, if we look around at what has been happening over the last few weeks and months in Kenya, there is clear evidence of suspected waiving of files cases. Yeah, we have had politicians shifting camps very dramatically. We have also had other politicians going very quiet all of a sudden. Yeah, and I'm talking about politicians in the deputy president's camp. There are even other politicians who have had complete Damascus moments. They have completely changed, yeah, and abandoned the deputy president's camp. The Orange Democratic Movement, whose leader is part and parcel of the handshake, has also taken very stern action, yeah, with those within the party who have been warming up to the deputy president. When you put those facts together, I don't think it's a coincidence. We have also seen, yeah, those close to the deputy president having scandals erupt, yeah, and being exposed about them. The latest, of course, is the dams, where 21 billion vanished into thin air. Yeah, and then the deputy president made a very serious mistake and came out and said, no, it was not 21 billion. People are telling lies. It was only 7 billion. Now I say that is a very serious mistake the deputy president made, because in actual fact, what the deputy president was saying is that not a single cent was lost. Yeah. However, he was saying what has been spent on the project so far is only 7 billion. That is what he was saying. Yeah. However, I think the deputy president forgot that he was in politics, and maybe he thought he was making remarks at a board meeting somewhere, yeah, or at the annual general meeting of a company somewhere, yeah, in the business sector. Because that's the kind of environment where people listen carefully to what you have to say and go with what you said precisely. But in politics, since the beginning of time, people wait for you to speak, and then they pick things out of context and run with them. And those things become so big that everybody ends up forgetting what you really said. In fact, it becomes irrelevant what you really said or what you really meant. Now, the deputy president may have some very clever Wazungu advisors and very seasoned political advisors advising him. However, in this particular case, wherever he got the advice, it was terrible advice. Because that move, and to make matters worse, nobody had even mentioned his name. Therefore, by making those remarks, he jumped in and accused himself indirectly as the person who was being talked about. A much smarter move would have been just to remain mum, keep silent. And then when anybody dares mention his name in connection to the dams, he comes out and asks them, boss, yeah, why are you spoiling my name? Do you have any evidence to mention my name in connection to the dams? That's what he should have done. But by jumping in, he clearly incriminated himself. Yeah, it's like cops arresting some people with a bang, or as we call it in Kenya, mangi, and they start saying we have evidence that you have been distributing 20 kilos of mangi in this area daily. And then a stranger walks out of the blue and says, no, it's not 20 kilos, it's 7 kilos. What do you think the Kenyan cops will do? Very simple. They'll tell this person of 7 kilos of bangi, where, kuja hapa, toa mshipi, ingia hapa. Translation, for the sake of non-Kenyans, you come here, get inside this cell and remove your belt before you do so. Yeah? It was just crazy. Up to now, I just can't explain it. And indeed, in the deputy president's case, that's exactly what would have happened to him. Only that is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. That's the only thing that stopped cops from moving towards him immediately. Although it is important for all of us to bear in mind that although the president of the Republic of Kenya is immune from any prosecution while he's in office, the deputy president does not enjoy the same immunity. That is the law. Bottom line, barring something extraordinary happening, which of course cannot be ruled out, then the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya will go ahead. Now we can move on to analyze and try to predict how this impeachment will go. Now some of you out there may say that's very predictable. The impeachment will go through. The Deputy President will be successfully impeached. It's very easy. There is overwhelming political support, even from ordinary people across the country, for the Deputy President to be impeached successfully. I don't agree, because in our parliament, things normally go differently. You would never trust popular public opinion to drive debate and decisions in parliament. Never ever, not in the Kenyan parliament. It is very common for legislators to stand up and talk very strongly, in support of what the public wants. But when it comes to voting, they vote against what they spoke. They vote for the other side, the opposing side, that they cut to shreds when they spoke. That's normal in the Kenyan parliament. So impeachment sailing through in parliament of the Deputy President? Forget it. It won't sail through. If actually it happens successfully, then it will just scrape through. That's my view. And it will be a very explosive debate. And I'm predicting that the Deputy President's camp will do a lot of revealing of secrets, dark secrets of the other side. Those are the usual tactics. You remember this legislator called Joshua Kutunyi, the Cherangani MP. There was a time he was talking very loudly against the Deputy President, and Mays. And then during a Citizen TV live talk show, a DP Ruto man, Kipchumba Murkomen, dropped a bombshell. He asked Kutunyi if he's aware, that he's being investigated, that detectives and investigators from the United States are looking for him in relation to some drug-related charges. And he told Honorable Kutunyi on live television, "You will have nowhere to run." Those were his exact words. Now take careful note of what happened after that encounter. Joshua Kutunyi went very quiet. He quietened down. Alituliza boli haraka sana. That story of DP Ruto and Mays died. Up to today, I've not heard anything more. The DP Ruto camp are masters of that tactic, and therefore expect a lot of it during the impeachment debate. In Kenya, we call that strategy ile ya kuchafua chafua. You deal with your opponent by releasing mud and stinking canworms about them, so that attention is diverted away from you to them. Very interesting times ahead, folks. Very interesting. But unfortunately, also very dangerous. Now, in part 2 of this video, I have my own bombshells to release. And you can't afford to miss them. We'll go into that immediately after the short upcoming commercial break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now, there's a forgotten son of Kenya whose name is Mukisa Kitui. And last week, about a week ago, he was interviewed on Citizen TV's JKL show, Jeff Koinange Live. Very knowledgeable man. He is based in Geneva. But Bwana Kitui has a very interesting history. He was amongst the legendary young thugs, who were at the forefront of fighting for Kenya's second liberation. It included people like James Orengo, Raila Odinga, Mukisa Kitui, and others. He was appointed to President Kibaki's cabinet, in 2003. He must have been one of the key people President Kibaki had relied on, to bring true change to Kenya. Of course, Kibaki's mission didn't quite work out, but Kitui left with a sterling record. No scandals linked to him, no corruption deals he ever did. This is one of the really great Kenyans. Now on this channel, I've already mentioned the name of one possible presidential candidate we should be thinking about, Bwana John Kidhongo. Today I mention another name, Mukisa Kitui. Not only does this man know what needs to be done, his international exposure, and even if you heard the way he talked on this show, makes him a very possible candidate for Kenyans to look at. My first choice, of course, remains John Kidhongo, and I've given you the reasons why. Anyway, on this show, Bwana Kitui said a lot of interesting things, and I suggest that you catch up with that show. It's on YouTube. Very important show, because he said a lot of things that are very important and critical to Kenya, and that will help anybody understand our country much better, because this man has been at the forefront. He even talks a lot about why the second liberation failed. Very interesting. But what I want to focus on was a comment he made about the mindset of those in the Kenyan government. Even as we fight corruption, as long as the mindset remains the way it is in government and amongst our politicians, we will go absolutely nowhere. And this came out very clearly in something Bwana Kitui said on the Citizen TV show with Jeff Koinange. And this is what he said. 2 years ago, Bwana Kitui brought into the country Bwana Jack Ma, who is a billionaire from China, the man behind the Alibaba site. And along with Jackie Ma, or rather Jack Ma, there were other 16 billionaires from China. And they came to Kenya first. They went to the University of Nairobi, they spoke to entrepreneurs, they even went to State House. Now here's the interesting side of this story. The same entourage then went to Rwanda, President Kagame's country. Now in that country, they were received very differently. A cabinet meeting was called. The government immediately started racking its brains to find out how they could benefit from Bwana Jack Ma's influence. The result was the launch of the first electronic platform online selling agricultural produce, and amongst it coffee. And this was launched in Kigali. Within weeks of the launch of this site, the price of Rwandese coffee more than doubled. And today, volumes of the sale of Rwanda coffee have shot up by about 40%. All because of the very different mindset that is in Kenya, that is very different from that which is in Rwanda, a much smaller country, a country which is behind Kenya for all intents and purposes. When rich people come to Kenya, and this has been going on for ages, politicians look as to how they can personally benefit the most. They don't think about the people of Kenya. It never crosses their mind, that there are opportunities they can take advantage of for the greater benefit of the people of Kenya, like they did in Rwanda. Because now you can imagine those coffee farmers in Rwanda are earning more from their coffee. Up to this point, internationally, people have been talking about Kenyan coffee. But going forward, I'm sure you can see a situation whereby Kenyan coffee will be nowhere, and Rwandese coffee will be at the forefront. Why? Because of the mindset of the government of Rwanda and the politicians there. and especially their president. Now, it is true President Kagame has been accused of human rights abuses. Yeah, others call him a dictator, a benevolent dictator. And it is true democracy is precious. We preach democracy on this channel. However, the benefits to the people of Rwanda, just because of the mindset of the government, cannot be ignored. We have heard stories in our country of how investors have been turned away because they refused to pay a kickback to a certain government official. Whole factories which would have provided jobs for very many jobless Kenyans have been relocated to other countries. Why? Because the potential investors said they just couldn't handle the corruption in Kenya. We used to have a man called George Saitoti who was a specialist when it came to investors. Because what would happen, it is said he would have meetings with an investor and then he would send his man to the investor's hotel later. Tell him, fine, your deal will go through, but this is the kind of kickback you'll have to pay back. So that officially you didn't hear the professor saying anything. But in the background, there was his man going after that foreign investor, begging for a kickback, demanding a kickback. Ignore the noise in the background, it's raining. And rain is a blessing anywhere, especially in Africa. This is very sad, and you can almost imagine the conversation that must have been going on in high places when Jack Ma came to Kenya. Huyu mtu ni mtu gani? Ni ule mtu wa ile website. Hapa hakuna kitu. Huyu mtu ajenge SGR. Si mtu wa dams, he doesn't have any dam expertise. He doesn't have a construction company, a road construction company. He doesn't build roads. Useless. He's no use to us. Forget it. There's no deal we can do with him. Now what can we really do with him? Hapo hakuna kitu. Wachana nao Chinese. Hata hiyo jina yake ni funny. Ati Jack Ma. Yeye ni mama ya nani? And meanwhile, the country called Kenya goes to the dogs. And some of the people who would have been having a discussion like this one are the ones at the forefront, talking about the fight against corruption and how it must be won. However, their mindset has not changed. They have always been programmed on how to look for a place where they can get a kickback. Reprogramming them so that they can think of the greater good of Kenyans is impossible. And that is why, it should be rather obvious to all Kenyans that what we need is a complete change of guard, complete change of the kind of individuals we elect into office. The characters we have at the forefront of Kenyan politics will never change. We need to completely forget about them. I think it is fair to say anybody who stands up and says that he wants Raila Odinga to be the next president of Kenya is out of their mind. Anybody who stands up and says that they want DP William Samoei Ruto to be the next president of Kenya is crazy. You mean after all the stealing that Kenyans have seen is going on, after all that we have been through as a country, we want to do the same things and expect different results? You're just crazy if you think like that. Folks, we urgently need to start thinking about new names. New names like Mukisa Kitui, John Githongo, Gitobu Imanyara, such people. People who have a track record, that proves they can bring real change to Kenya. And real change includes a complete change of mindset. I highly recommend these MCAs who are always going for benchmarking tours abroad in the US, Europe, wherever, should now go to a cheaper place. Our neighbors here in Rwanda. Maybe that will be the beginning of a change of mindset. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.